Yeah, it's so nice. It's way worse.
It is, for you. I really do.
We're pinning all our hopes on Miami's 3.
How's it going? Good to see you. Sorry, I hurt my back, so I'm here. Yep, I'll take it. How's it going? Okay. Good. Ready for summer? I tell myself, I see this down, like, it's okay, Donna, with one day plus summer. Yeah, I do that with students. Do you? The opposite? Well, it's like, okay, once we. It did. That's what I do. I know it's so funny. I used to see such a hated winter. And not, the snow was beautiful. I don't mind driving. I just hate being. I do. And I don't like the short days. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I just want to I want to eat and fry all the time. I can go good. How are you? Get in there. Yeah. Kind of lost my last one. Because I guess you said 11. Isn't that like your birthday?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
Are you gonna do whatever you want?
Well, I told you to do everything.
So what are you gonna do? I remember things.
It's actually our daughters, the 2 high schoolers, and it's babies. So,
Oh, okay.
and one's a junior, one's a senior, so they're like, or sophomore and junior. And so they're 2 different groups of friends. So I have to do like, try to help coordinate, be there for pictures. But luckily it's not like prom or homecoming, so no hair changes. So that's good. That was crazy. Homecoming was crazy.
But at least they're gone the night of your birthday, and you can like go get dinner. It's that whole thing. We were just talking about. This is true. That was just a conversation.
They're ones I want to hang out with. Come on now.
Check my football.
My kitchen's almost done, so that's good. That's a good birthday.
Yeah, it looks great.
It looks good, huh?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. No, I didn't see the real. He just
Oh.
showed me the pictures.
Yeah. So it's just like the finishing touches, like one more countertop needs to be done.
Yeah, how fun is
Lighting and flooring
Lighting.
so fun.
and backsplash.
I have a family. Okay, I'm in some of my other banners. Let me have to.
I was just thinking about you.
Got upside down.
Okay. When there's a wall right here. Right? This is the edge of the house. Floor, we have decorations on there. And a ladder. And take it from my house, make your own ladder, pick it back.
It's getting a little bit longer. It's kind of that.
So I project right now, I have like maybe. If it didn't come up straight, if it went down, we're gonna have to stretch the muscle. I know. Like why do I'm sorry to laugh. I don't be right. Yeah, for sure. I'm tied down. And I was like, yeah. Oh. I'm thinking my car to go. Yeah. Yeah, we should check. I'm here. Okay, so you guys both have a break. And I know. Oh, I was in here talking and it did that.
I prefer 11-1. And knock doors over the other side.
Okay. So just I'm gonna go for it. Naomi really wants your eggs, but
Yeah,
no. I Concrete a bit.
What's your?
I just told her, she's got to confirm that her friend didn't touch the trees. You can always be like, oh, it's really not, like, they're gonna see.
No problem, no problem. I was gonna say, wait. It's so.
And, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Marco, Joe, you doing it?
Yeah.
I can get you an answer.
It does smell. What's for lunch today? Yeah.
No, I know.
I gotta start us off with one of the best dad jokes.
For talking.
No, I ain't even. What is going on?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, guys. Yes, thank you. I was gonna start off with a dad joke. So I went home last night and my kids were there. They're not supposed to be there. And my kids always try to stump me on a dad joke. And this was one I hadn't heard. And my daughter's like, well, since you're like in the dating world, I've got one for you, Dad. So how do you win over a country girl? Tractor. Yes. Like so we ended up going, we went to, I'm not the biggest Mobetta's fan because I think I could make better food than that. So we went to Mobetta's because they love that. And we seriously almost got escorted out because we were just laughing so hard. It was the best. I guess that's my bucket fill for that. So
You almost got kicked out for being loud.
Weird.
That's so
Yeah.
surprising.
yeah, awesome. Did I pass our thing? Did I pass our bucket fills?
No, it's coming up after birthday.
Okay, birthdays.
Happy birthday,
Happy 32nd birthday, Steph.
right? I mean, look at all those November babies.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lot of babies.
So many things to be thankful for.
Valentine's Day, that's what that is.
Is that what that is? That was a quick math equation right there.
Knows 'cause he's got a baby on the way.
Not speaking from experience.
November baby coming.
What's happening on Valentine's Day? What happened in the Dalton household on Valentine's Day?
know.
I woke up and it was dark and I was crying.
Yeah, right.
Is that what happened? All right. I don't have any control. Chocolate, darkness, and wine.
Wine.
Work on the groceries.
Groceries.
Does it feel like eternity?
Sherry, 19 years.
Oh my God.
What? Otherwise November unless, but like Thanksgiving 1st of December. I rolled December, so I always thought my anniversary. But it's
Has Gary Keller changed your life for the better?
massively.
Massive. He's changed all of our lives. Brother, I just have no control whatsoever. This is big. Let's give a big shout out to our new oncomers. We're growing. I used to work for a Japanese company and he would always start every meeting with, our company is growing. It was the best.
A little bit.
All right, come on, let's do some bucket fills.
I could feel
Yes,
more
place it in the back.
So, I want to fill Dalton's bucket. We've been doing script practice for like a month. And like 2 weeks in, he gave me just this one line. And I got 2 appointments at knocking doors like the next day.
What? Let's hear the line.
Would it be crazy? So would it be crazy if we got together and talked?
Good spot, baby. I didn't
Can I-
invent it.
Can I? That's what I was gonna say. Do you mind if I trademark that in the dating world?
Do it.
Would it be crazy to go out with a 5'7" guy? I mean, I'm just saying, would it be crazy? Awesome. Thanks.
What else crazy if we went back to my house?
That's not the first time,
There, no.
that's not the first time Justin's used that on me, so that's actually, it does work. It does work. It does work.
Love it. I want
fill some buckets just from some amazing humans in this office that did some pretty cool stuff this last week. So Tim and Bradley and Justin and Marcus and his friend, which I don't remember his name, Jeff, all decided that they were going to do a 50-mile hike, trail run kind of a situation. And I'm just a survival.
I like that. It
But I'm
absolutely was.
seriously so proud of you guys because there's just so much determination and they started hiking at like 4:30 in the morning. And I think wrapped up around maybe 9 and maybe 11:30. So yeah,
In the
huge,
morning?
huge bucket fill for you guys.
No,
that-
Yeah.
PM, PM, PM.
That's crazy.
Hey, 50 miles, 33 miles, 36 miles. But huge accomplishment and I love the mindset that goes into just doing hard freaking things and how much you can accomplish. So good job, guys.
What was like, and I will bucket fill that, like Russie, Lauren, everyone in the office sending messages and crazy videos. It was.
We were cheering you on.
You
for
learn a
sure.
lot about yourself when you do that kind of stuff and where the mind may or may not go and what the body eventually just like shuts down. I'm still walking funny from the whole experience. Justin, not as much. 2 days, you were good to go.
So yeah, nice job, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Huge
What else?
accomplishment.
Anything else that's big? Yes, Sherry.
Lee, who enabled me to be able to be in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont for the past 3-ish weeks and covering anything that needed covering with buyers and sellers and couldn't have done it without her, so. great news.
Vermont.
Minis Take Vermont, 125 minis from 25 states and 2 nations in Canada, provinces, I guess,
Wow,
150 people.
amazing. Were the fall colors so amazing in
course.
Vermont? Better than here?
Fall into always fall into it.
She said, hell yeah. I mean,
Hell
it's
yeah.
really good.
Just the-
That's-
yeah, like a hell yeah.
It is no difference.
Love it. All right, this week, Smart Database, Lauren, Bradley.
It's gonna be pretty awesome. We've been putting some more work into it, so this class is gonna be better than the rest.
Who's using the smart plans? Big raise of hands. Do you like it?
I'm early in the process.
What do you like most about it, Dalton?
I don't have to do anything once it's set up. That's my good. Like get rocking and rolling, and I'm one of those people I'm like, oh, I can just keep it all in my head or on my Google Calendar, and I've proven several times for the last 4 years I cannot. So the smart plan. Tell me what to do and or just do it for me depending on what the task is.
Are you saying we're trying to simplify your life?
It's threatening, but yes,
It's weird.
Right.
Why would you want to simplify your life? Let's keep it complicated.
right.
So much better that way. Ken had some, Chrissy, you have your hand up.
Well, I did have a backup. I was thinking.
Please, go on.
I just want to build a small office, support from our law party. We raised over $15,000. And we're gonna do it, we're getting final tallies, I'll know the final number for tomorrow and Thursday, but I think maybe next week.
Love it.
I love that. Awesome.
So thank you to everyone that helped.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's,
thank you
that's,
for being here.
yes, Lauren.
Brooke put in the chat, she just wanted to give a big thank you to leadership for an amazing mindset discussion, and it was very much appreciated.
Very cool. Awesome.
It was really good. Even when I was late. But, okay, it was good, but I was there.
Love it.
Can I interrupt one more? Because on the health walk, like, I wanna be able to get, we did that since I wasn't here before, you guys do that, but then also, if we can put on. KW Spain has now, the KW Cares there has the GoFundMe page, if anyone's seen what's happened in Valencia, I just really. Can't even imagine in a little bit smaller version in Barcelona, where literally over a year's worth of rain fell in 8 hours. And the country did not warn anyone until the water was already above car height. So when people were all coming home to their kids down a street where there's no escape, like over 280 people died, or 208. It's just, and a lot, a lot of our people have been affected. So I'll just throw that GoFundMe on our Facebook page as well.
Wow. Wow. Ken mentioned he was gonna cover something specifically on Friday. Remember what he said in?
Our best practices.
He went in even more depth. Come Friday, it'll be amazing.
On Friday.
It'll be super deep. All right, who's not signed up? Who has not signed up for the business planning class?
Sign up.
Scan up now.
Yes.
It's getting full. It will be crowded, standing room only.
And if you signed in twice, we'll know you're only coming once.
Okay.
You get double the blessings if you sign in twice.
Send you.
Yes, more blessings. We need more blessings.
Make sure you register for this, you guys. It's gonna be really good, and we're taking a little bit of. We're doing some exploring down a little dirt road before we go in deep into business planning.
Is that just a teaser?
Yes.
You can't give us any more detail about the teaser?
Nope, we just wanna make sure you guys really have clarity on why you're doing what you're doing. And it's gonna be a great business planning clinic per usual, with a little emotion and feelings sprinkled in.
Tears of joy or
Tears of
sadness?
joy.
We're gonna watch, oh goodness.
Inside Out.
Yes. I'm like, I just lost it.
How did you know that out of that? How did you-
Yeah.
The first hour and a half, we're just gonna watch a Disney movie. It's gonna be fantastic.
There's the Inside Out too.
I have not.
It's super cute.
Okay, it's super cute.
It's super, is
Yeah.
it super cute though?
Justin, you've seen it?
Yeah.
No, he just knew what I was doing.
Because we didn't know who
Nobody
Polly-
knows me anymore.
Polly, what was it yesterday? Polly.
Polly-
Pollyanna.
Yeah, that one.
Pollyanna.
Talking about it, guys.
And if you want to get more clarity on the why behind your goals, like reach out to one of us. Let's sit down and have a deep dive into the clarity behind that. So it makes it even more purposeful for 2025.
Game night at his house where we're watching Pollyanna play Pluto.
Yes, Pollyanna.
It's really from the sixties?
Yeah.
Really? Sorry, really?
My TVs don't play movies.
Is there action, death, murder in this show?
No.
I don't know.
So Inside Out too it is.
There's action and death in the cartoons. Okay. All right, next week, we have our 3-hour mandatory class. Tell your friends. I think it's key. If you need to sign up, get in there. The customer experience with Kimber Walton. Laura, do you want to dive deeper into?
December 11th, Kimber is coming for a 4-hour CE. It's optional, but lunch will be served at 12. This is just a whole class and it's not command based. It is a whole class about how to really just level up your customer experience from your websites to your reviews to your apps and how to really incorporate our systems. But really honestly, if you weren't using our system, she goes into a deep dive on just how to make your customers have a great experience and send your referrals.
And she's gonna give you some free content and resources. And if you guys have seen any of Kimber's content, it is like.
How do we
dialed
register
in.
for that? Because one says the 12th, one says the 11th. What day is it on?
Okay, it's 7/11, 2024, 12 to 3:30, I think.
Yep.
And it'll be in Broadway Snapshot that you can RSVP, so,
And it's here.
yes. And then the Christmas party is December 5th. Yes.
Do we have another reason to dress up for
And
another party?
where's that?
We've usually done,
You're at the, yeah.
we've usually done, ugly sweaters, but we haven't confirmed or denied any of that yet, so just RSVP and plan. One thing quick about the mandatory CE class, remember that this is a class that everyone has to complete. This and your code of ethics are the ones that they check. This one has to be every renewal cycle, so check your renewal cycle and see if you've taken it yet. If you haven't, get on for that one. And then code of ethics is also coming up to end of cycle, and everyone's on the same code of ethics cycle. It doesn't matter when you got licensed. So if you haven't taken code of ethics since, and this is not that class, but we're gonna try to get it in December. If you haven't taken it yet this year, know that this is the cycle that you have to complete it in. Everybody's on the same cycle for code of ethics. Mandatory core goes off of your renewal, but you do have to do this every renewal.
And
The fire accreditation course, the NAR put out for free. It will now be charged after the first of the year at $295, I believe, so if you want to take advantage of that. You can log in and do it.
What was that?
It's their accredited fire, and their fire, what is the ABR designation. It's free from now to the end of the year. After that, they're gonna start charging like $295. So if you're interested.
Love it.
That one is, so you can get your accreditation and then just keep in mind that's an annual charge. But they do send out a lot of really great buyers resources. So I have that accreditation.
And we're diving deep into this easy button. We want to create being innovative of the best way to be in touch with your SOI. Come ready, right, Lauren? I saw that smirk back. Who is not signed up for family reunion? You cannot go this year?
No, because it's right during my son's basketball class senior year, and that is just a non-negotiable.
No.
And he signed his letter of intent, right?
Yeah, she
He
did.
did?
I took yesterday during
Where?
our mastermind. It's going to CSI to college for the night.
Oh my God.
Close enough to go to the games?
Yes.
Oh.
He's far enough, but he's close enough and all, and it's a huge college town. They're the #1 JUCO in the country, so he will get a D1 offer after this.
That's,
Thank you.
oh, the basketball season is
So I
upon us.
will not be unless something happens.
Sad.
I mean, rightfully speaking, I'm just saying.
Rusty's
I
gonna
will
give,
take good notes because I am
Yeah.
gonna fangirl hard on this.
she's awesome. Her book worthy, who's read her book worthy?
I'm like listening to it again for the second time, and then also her book, Believe It,
Just
was
two of them,
phenomenal.
I haven't read Believe It. That's
That one,
that's I- that-
Believe
quote
it or
from-
not.
You can victor up, victim up, or warrior up. You can give up or
Level up.
level up is up to you, and I love it. It's like such a good reminder.
It's so much easier to be a victim though.
It is easier.
Why?
Is it
That
really
is-
though? I think it's harder to be a
I
victim.
mean, it's hard in the long run, but in
Yeah.
like, for the first few minutes, it's great.
You know, I was one time a card counter. And so there'll be nights if you guys want to learn some good blackjack tips, let me know. Yeah. That's the incentive. If you go, you can actually lose more money at Vegas. It'll be so phenomenal. Well, it'll have so much fun together. I'm actually super excited about this. This will be fun. It'll be fun to be with the market center as opposed to just being chaotic. So let's go.
Amy, we can be chaotic and fun. And-
Oh, look at this. Speaking of
Oh,
blackjack.
turn it up.
Oh, volume, Bradley. Oh, I've got it.
You got it. Start it back over.
Don't look.
Everyone close your eyes.
Plug your ears. Be
Now.
surprised.
Now go. This is gonna be an unpopular opinion, but I'm more excited about her than I was for Tony Robbins.
I thought Mel Robbins did better than Tony.
Mel
I
Robbins
agree.
is better than Tony for sure, but I'm so excited about her.
Somewhere Johnny and Shoney are crying.
That I said that.
Yeah.
They are crying. They're gonna get over it.
I'll get over it.
They're platinum members.
Who's been to family reunion the most? How many of you got Sherry?
Well, 2006 minus a couple. I think 2006.
How many times have you been, Rusty?
12,
Carried one.
8.
You've been more, I've been to 10, you've been.
Oh, yeah. Trying to figure the math.
Sherry just dropping hell yeah bombs all over the place.
Like 18 or 18. Yeah. 16 maybe.
I already got my room.
You already got
You
your
did?
room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there an extra bed?
It would be a crazy idea.
Would it be crazy?
Would it be crazy to say that it's a queen and
Not at all. You have me at queen.
it's got its own bathroom, so.
Rusty, what do you want to add to Mega Agent Camp?
Camp, just have it on your radar. It's gonna be in San Antonio in August, so, early bird pricing is $7.99. Also, just real quick about family reunion and mega camp, if you've been on the fence and thinking about MAPS coaching as an option for you, remember that these events are included with your MAPS coaching contract. So if you're thinking about MAPS coaching, or you're saying after the first of the year, you're gonna do MAPS coaching, I would go ahead and sign up for it, and then your ticket is included to these events. But family reunion, just really quick, back to that, a couple things that I wanna make sure. There's something for everybody at family reunion, like literally no matter what level your business is at, you will walk away with something that's gonna help you. Number two, you're gonna be hard pressed to find a cheaper venue that family reunion is ever at. I know Vegas isn't everybody's favorite. But I also think after last year, I've got some better ideas of like tips and tricks that I'm gonna do to make it more enjoyable. Because it is huge conference center and trying to get food and stuff like that. So I've got a little, like, we'll put together some tips and tricks. You could drive there if you want to versus fly, and you can find there's cheap hotels everywhere. And I wouldn't worry so much about being close, super close to the convention center, because unless you're right by it, you're walking a distance anyway. So I would just find a great room and maybe even consider like a condo or something like that you can share with people, and plan to Uber into the convention center because your feet will thank you anyway. So a couple things with that. And then also remember that we are doing, I know a lot of you had FOMO last year about the Region Awards Gala is happening at Family Reunion again. And it's like a notch up from last year even. Like it's gonna be, I don't even know if I'm supposed to announce it, but I'm going to.
Announce a win.
I believe I think it's like official. If this is not official, and I'm gonna be sad,
Top
but
floor.
we have rented space at the top of one of these, it's an MGM restaurant, I think. I don't remember what it's called, but it's super cool and it has this amazing view of the sky. And it's just like this super, super cool place that we're gonna do the regional awards at. So mark your calendars, you won't regret it.
At Mega.
That's it.
Family reunion.
All family reunion, just the mega camp slides up, just so you have it on your radar, but
I mean, there's beautiful views in San Antonio, but not many
Yeah, I
I was
like
gonna
it.
say.
venues that we want to attend.
And if anyone not Austin.
Austin Convention Center is going under
Yeah.
giant renovation. So for the next 3 years, it'll be in San Antonio and then it will be back in Austin, but Austin Convention Center can't host our size of group during renovation.
Love this. Who's listening to the One Thing podcast lately? I know we're all on the MREA podcast. Jay's one of my favorites. I think he actually might be my favorite to listen to. And it's the story that, what was it? A week ago, we heard his story of buying his ranch. Did you guys hear the story? How he and his wife came together buying his ranch. Did you listen?
I was the one that was telling you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're the one that told us.
Do
Thank
you
you.
remember when you told us that?
I do.
Do you remember that one time?
No.
That one time that we happened?
Mega camp.
Inclusion and Belonging Native American Heritage Panel. Who's taking advantage of luxury?
I would.
Did you go to the one in Park? You were at the one in Park City, right? Jeanette came to that. It was very well put together. I thought the guest speaker that came was extremely valuable. I think the way that Keller Williams has doubled down on the luxury division has been phenomenal. And it's just been, the value is just outside of real estate. That speaker was one of my favorites, Red Shoe. Yeah, if you're not taking advantage of it, it's there. KW Cares, which Sherry, you already covered this. And by the way, when we did the host 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we actually are in the top 10 of states that donated for the hurricane relief that happened. And so we actually, our market center, our region gets access to Mark Willis to do a private one-on-one with our market center, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know what the specifics are yet. It's probably going to be in 2025. And I don't know where the venue is going to be, but I'm hoping that it goes down the career visioning path. I would love to attend Mark Wilson's career visioning path.
I'm gonna guess it'll be via Zoom and it will probably not be clear visioning, but either way, it's really cool. We were in the top 10.
Top 10, that's
He's
huge.
gonna come and do something for our region. So
We
awesome.
finished 9, right? Was it 9 or 8? Good job, guys. Thanks for donating. You're all so unselfish. We just throw this in there because we're being monitored by KWRI that you have to be TCP compliant. If we don't throw this in there, we get fined.
Yeah,
Mostly in
probably.
mostly in lashings. So it's really, really great. I went too far.
No,
It's
they're
after.
not here yet.
I think it was steak. I think it was steak.
You just pick
Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
I mean, it's-
So I'm gonna take over. We're gonna go back and go ahead. Yeah, business plan questions. I love it. Who is very clear already what they want for 2025?
So close.
Wow, that's. What helped you get what helped you get clarity on this?
This year and just a lot of years leading.
Love that. Is anyone else is clear? Go on.
I finally believe that I can really sell property in Park City. So, my goals for Park City.
Is this mostly luxury that you want to get into?
I guess you could call it luxury. To me, it's Park City. I know the clientele there really well, so yeah, luxury-ish.
Over $1 million, it's considered luxury here.
Okay, then it's luxury.
I think there's
Theirs is higher, yeah. Their standards are higher.
But it still counts for our markings. I do want to say Rusty gave a phenomenal More Club last week as far as understanding where you want to set your goals. That if you don't know your past numbers and where you're on, how that made you feel, that should be a huge indicator, right? Because human nature, we're creatures of habit. And so if you want to change that habit, have you dug deep into like what you've done over the last year, the last 2 years and helping that move forward? Who else is extremely clear besides? I'm going to add to this.
Can I share some questions?
Yes, please.
Ask. So obviously, we're gonna talk about your numbers in business planning clinic, and those of you that came to our More Club event. We talked a lot about knowing the story between your numbers, right? Because this is a business and the numbers tell the story of your business. So you have to know your numbers. I can't stress that enough, that there's a lot of people who are just like, no, I just want to make it about the people. You can make it about the people, but you have to know your numbers or you're not running a business. But you know the story between your numbers, right? So you can look at your numbers and say, this was a great year for me financially, but a hard year personally. Or this was a really great year personally, but I financially didn't hit my goals. You know the story between your numbers. If you are struggling to figure out why you want to do what you're doing, here's some questions I'm going to encourage you to ask. Number one is, who are you? So who are you? Like, think about this in a business context. Think about it in your mom hat. Think about it in your wife. Like, however you are, who are you? Second question I think you should be asking is, what do you do? So when you're thinking about business planning, who are you and what do you do? The third question is, who do you do it for? So who are you? What do you do? And then who do you do it for? The fourth question, and I think this one is key because I think sometimes we think we know the answer and we need to dive a little deeper, is what do the people we do it for really need? Really need, not like what you think they need. What do they really need from you based on who you are and what you do and who you do it for? What do those people need? And then the last question that I think you should ask yourself that is really critical, and by the way, I did not come up with these questions, I'm just repeating them. How do the people change or evolve? just really want to spell that with non-fees. Based on what you do. Yesterday, we had a really powerful, mindfulness mastermind. Because we've had so many people just kind of talking about how there's like kind of some dissatisfaction in their business, they're disconnected from their why, their purpose, what they're doing. And we talked about all the different hats that we wear. And I think it's really critical before you walk into Business Planning Clinic to really think through not just what you want your business to look like next year, but what do you want your personal life to look like? How do you want to personally grow? And I think these are like really key questions to getting to the core of why, right? Like, who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? What do the people you do it for really need? And then how do you change or evolve how the people change or evolve based on what you do? I think you could think these questions through almost with every role that you have. Like, as a business owner, who are you? Who are the people that are helping you? Or who are the people that you help and what do they really need from you? As a parent, as a friend, as a spouse. And then the other thing that I think is really important when we talk about how do people evolve or change based on what you do, I was thinking about this last night as I was kind of like closing out my day, and I like to take a couple minutes just to kind of reflect typically on like, what did the day look like? What were some wins? Where were some areas that I could improve or be better on my day? And one of the things I was thinking is like, when we're thinking about who we are and what we do and who we're doing it for, we can't forget that that has to include us too. Right? And I know I've said this a bunch of like, my butt wasn't even close to that, so that's gonna give me a complex, but I think it's pretty, like, it's not infrequent that we always just think about everybody else and what we're doing and how we're filling their buckets or what are their needs or what do they need from us. And at the end of the day, and I know it's so cheesy, but really, if you don't fill your own bucket and if you're not part of this, like, how are you going to change and evolve based on what you do? You're missing a big piece of it because you've got to be able to grow too in order to help other people grow. You've got to grow personally to be a better parent. You've got to grow personally to own a better business. You've got to grow personally to be a better friend, a better partner, like whatever that looks like, you have to have some personal growth too. So I think those are really important key questions to think through as you're walking into, like, it's business planning season, right? Like, we are all in the thick of it. I like love and hate this time of year at the same time because it feels like a lot all at once as I'm planning for multiple businesses. But it's also a really exciting time that gives you a chance to kind of reflect on the last year. And I will tell you that the most beautiful thing about owning your own business is you get to decide what it's going to look like. So if you're not happy with how last year or this year, because I'm already moved on, like in my head, 2024 is already gone, so I'm already calling it last year. But if you're not happy with what 2024 looked like for you, you get to change that. That's the most beautiful part about being a human. Like, we get to decide what this is going to look like for each one of us, and our journey can be different. So I think take some time to really reflect on these questions and each one of the areas that you are a leader in, including in your own life and your own household, and how can you bring more clarity to your goals walking into the year. Because if we're just doing it to make more money than we did last year, look, like, all the money in the world is still not going to probably bring you the happiness that you're looking for. More money, more problems. As we were laughing that people just said that.
Does anyone struggle with the first one? Who are you? Or is that just me?
That threw me off, I figured who I was.
But like, I would say, like, for me, that's like, it's not what you do in public, but what do you do in private? Like, what, I always ask the question, what is your passion? And so maybe another question is on there. What are you going to do for you in 2025?
What's a hobby? What's something you're going to learn? Christy.
Yeah, well, I think to that point, Tim, is going back to kind of Marcus's example yesterday with all the folders of like, here's all the hats I wear. Who am I within these hats? And then like, when I get forward with that, like within there, then who really are you? Because you are so many different people, just so many different people.
Yeah.
And so then getting clear on that and then finding from there, like, okay, now who am I, when I look at all of this, then who really am I, or who do I want to be? So understanding who you are, but then who you want to be, because like one thing I'm gonna do is like here's one thing I'm taking with me in 2025, and here's something I'm 100% leaving behind
Yeah.
in 2024, and never opening that door again.
What's interesting, like that hat is never explained, like, how do you show up for yourself? It's everyone else, like your role, like how do you show up personally for you? And we never think, take time to fill that bucket or do the things that make us who we are.
Well, and think through when you're thinking of, like, I love that you're saying, what am I gonna take with me? Like, what's working that I wanna take with me into 2025? And then what do I wanna leave behind? And also, like, maybe there's something that you know you need to leave something behind, but you're not even sure what the next, what you need to take with you into 2025 is. So think through that, because this might be like, you need a skill set that you don't have currently, or you need a different habit. And the good news is there's like 60 days left in the year, which is almost the perfect time to form a new habit. So how can you push that habit forward and leave something behind that's no longer serving you? So anyway, just some deep thoughts on this Tuesday afternoon, 1 week and 2 days before business planning. Hi, how are you?
That being
This
said,
is our guest speaker.
yes, welcome McCarthy Media. We're excited for you. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well,
You're welcome, everyone.
You're welcome as well. Thanks. Or do we have slides or? no?
we're gonna share, so
Oh, okay.
how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good to be here.
Great. Perfect.
You guys are terrifying.
I almost have you up. Hold on 1 second.
Very. We'll get this pulled up, but to start, so we're glad to be here. We're High Country Wealth Management. Been doing this for 12 years. And I work a lot in the real estate world. That's where I grew up. And so I know it's kind of funny because all of my real estate clients, they're always their number one thing. Every single one of them, it's real estate all the time, right? And they're investing in real estate. And that's how it should be. That's what you guys know and understand. We're going to talk about where the value is on the tax efficiency side and how we pull chips off the table to create liquidity long-term and maximize your opportunities inside of your investment world. I know growing up with my dad, who's 100% invested in real estate. I realized that your greatest asset and your home run money is going to be in real estate. So you'll never see us as a firm compete with those dollars. It's going to be an enhancement to the overall picture. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. You can keep going. This is our mission, vision of High Country Wealth Management. We can send this out and chat offline, but we won't go into that in depth today. So you can click, there we go. Core values of our firm. Keep going next. It's our team. So anyway, we built out our team so that we can follow through on the promises we make to our clients. But really today, we want to talk about, go to the buckets page, I think. Clicker isn't working, I guess. Okay, so there's a lot of risks associated with retirement on the back end. And our job is to help you prepare and mitigate those risks and make sure that we're doing it in a tax efficient way and maximizing our income when we get there and ultimately maximize the legacy that we get to leave behind. And so each of these buckets represent a different asset that we want to make sure we have access to when we start pulling money out in the future. Those risks being our base income. That's your world. I show base income, we show income, annuity, social security, pensions, variable income, or when I talk to my clients in the real estate world, this is your base income is your rental income. That's what you're going to have. We want to make sure we have at least our base income in retirement coming through money that can never run out, because as a study done by Ernst & Young and Northwestern Mutual put together, you'll actually spend 20% more in retirement when you have base income, guaranteed income that doesn't go anywhere because you can't outlive it. And that's all of my clients' biggest worry and concern. So what happens if I outlive my money, so they start to hoard their cash because they get nervous? What might happen? So that's really important. Now, getting into what really, I think the value for a 1099 real estate agent is inside of a few different buckets. There's our home run bucket, which is your real estate. There's our aggressive bucket, which is our stock market assets. In the real estate world, you're gonna invest in the stock market only for the most part, not only, but for the most part, for the tax benefits you're gonna get from doing it. And there's really a lot of benefits you can have as a 1099 employee. You can do more than if you're a W-2 employee in terms of things like a solo 401k or a SEP IRA. Some of you probably know what those are. Some of you may not. But because you're 1099 and you don't have any W-2 employees in your business, you're able to save up to 60,000. It's actually going up to 70,000 next year.
Oh, is it?
Yep, so it'll be $70,000 per year. And if you're married, you can also have your wife listed as part of the company, and you can both do 70,000. So you could get up to $140,000 a year. It's all a tax deduction. Now, the difference between the SEP IRA and the solo 401k. Solo 401k has a Roth option. So if you're familiar with the difference, anybody know the difference between Roth? Traditional?
You pay your taxes.
Yep.
When you don't.
Roth, you pay your taxes now, and then all of the growth will be tax-free later. So the solo 401k, you have a Roth option. The SEP IRA, you do not have a Roth option. That's the only difference. So depending on what you're trying to accomplish, would depend on which one is more valuable and more helpful. Any questions on that? I think that's the greatest, that's like the no-brainer for a real estate agent. Gotta have a SEP or solo, because we don't want to pay taxes. Unless you do want to pay taxes.
I don't think anyone wants to pay taxes right now. We definitely don't want to pay it later, right?
Exactly. Okay, so those are those different buckets. Now, there's the safer segment, there's that aggressive segment inside of the market. You know, if we talk about inside of the aggressive segment, outside of the tax efficient buckets, non-qualified advisory accounts, this is cash that our business owners will say at the end of the year, I've got extra cash. I'm not finding any real estate deals. Better than sitting in my bank. Let's invest this money and let's get a better rate of return on it. And so that's what we're helping our clients build, is say, okay, we're going to get you from where you are today. We're going to take what you're doing in real estate, build it into the plan, enhance it with these other buckets, and then help you see a clear picture of what it looks like on the back end. So how do we pull money out on the back end most efficiently? A lot of times when we're investing money, we're just throwing crap against the wall and hoping that it works out in the future. We want to make sure that we have a purpose to every dollar that you're investing, and that we know what the purpose is when we pull the money out. Because that's when it really matters, when we actually need to use the money. And we want to make sure we're diversified to a point where if the market's down, or if the real estate takes a crash, or if tax brackets go up, that we've got different options. You know, we're able to pull back and toggle back and forth between these different buckets to maximize our income and ultimately maximize what we get to leave behind in legacy to our kids or grandkids or whatever that looks like. Does that make sense? Awesome. Okay, so the third segment to your wealth building picture is the safer segment. That's this bucket here represents for our higher income clients the most efficient place to warehouse safe money. As our clients move through time, their appreciation for safe dollars becomes more and more relevant and important to them. And so when they're arriving at age 65, we want to make sure we're arriving well positioned with a safe bucket that's growing at 5% tax-free versus the market or versus the bank being on average, 0.5% taxable. So we want to make sure we're maximizing that with a well-structured cash value policy with our high net worth clients, where we're squeezing down the death benefit, we're stuffing the policy to the gills to maximize efficiency. Now, so that's what we're helping our clients create, making sure that we're maximizing each of these buckets, making sure that every dollar has a purpose and every dollar is maximally efficient throughout, from now till retirement, till age 90. What we see a lot today, the lion's share of financial advisors out there today spend little or no time talking about what happens when we need to start pulling money out. They're just money managers, and we want to make sure that we change that, and we're making sure that there's a real plan in place so that we're distributing the wealth, because that's the most important part of the process, most efficiently at the time when you need it most. Questions? Thoughts? All right. So here's just an idea of some of the things to be thinking about. This is what we take our clients through. Each of them are important buckets, and so if you look at cash flow budget planning, that's kind of the beginning stages. Where are your income sources? What's your balance sheet look like? Do you have an emergency fund in place? All of that's really important. And we start to talk about planning for the unexpected. So we're talking about making sure our families are taken care of in case of death or disabilities. So that's the life insurance world. Disability insurance that's important, because your financial plan's derailed if anything happens. We want to make sure that that is not the case. Holistic investment planning, portfolio review and asset allocation, rebalance your investments, time horizon weighting. This is all tax loss harvesting, paying, if you're paying a donation or paying some kind of tithing, we want to take it from the investment gains in your portfolios, because you get double tax savings. All these little things is part of the portfolio management when we're managing assets to ultimately maximize the returns that you get long-term as well. Again, it comes back down to taxes. Where can we win the tax game? Because again, that's your biggest expense, as you know.
Yes, we do.
So retirement, independence, obviously this is the planning where what we talked about. We want to make sure when we sit down with our clients that we understand their goals really well. Want to make sure we understand, because it's not cookie cutter. What's important to you? And then build a plan that makes sense for you and your family.
Casey, real quick, I think that, so guys, Casey's my personal financial advisor, and I think that's something that you do ridiculously well with your team. I mean, I can't tell you guys how many times Casey and I and Sadie meet together and go through our situation. Sadie and I by no means have a normal financial situation, and Casey, like every time I go meet with him, it's like, okay. And we build a new plan, and the plan changes and evolves constantly. And Casey and his team have kept up with that and pushed it forward. And he knows his stuff. He's sharp.
No, thanks, Trevor. I appreciate that. So yeah, as we going, each of these, this is just the little things we do on a daily basis as a planning team to optimize your situation. And we're going through on a year-to-year basis, and we're checking off these boxes, making sure that everything's in place. The business planning side to the high net worth side, when we're talking about potential estate tax needs. And so it just depends on where you're at. So we talk about your goals, get a snapshot of where you're at financially to determine what's going to be relevant and important to you. So.
Can I ask a question on this roadmap? And this
Please.
is maybe what you're gonna answer right here, but I find, and the reason we wanted you to come in and chat is because there's so many agents that know, okay, I need to invest in real estate, but then they're not really thinking beyond that. So what would you say is like some of your first steps? Just come in and meet with you? Because I think it can be really overwhelming for people and they think it's much harder than it is. to actually have a
Pretty
really
simple.
solid, I mean, it looks really simple.
A lot of work, actually, guys.
But I think that there's almost like an avoidance or a fear around it in some ways, because as real estate agents, you have the opportunity to make really great money. And unfortunately, I see all the time people who are like, well, I haven't really planned well for how do I ever retire, right? So when we're talking through this, what would you say are some of kind of just like your first steps of, here's the things that you need to just even be prepared for a conversation? Because there's going to be someone that walks out of the room today super excited, and then there's going to be someone else who's like, that's terrifying and I don't even want to think about it. So like, what are some of the things that you would say for them to come in for a consultation just prepared? What would that look like for them to need to have together? Because I think getting started is more simple than what we make it in our mind.
Totally. And I think most people don't do anything because they don't really know where to go. and
Right.
what to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's paralysis.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, exactly. So, great question. It's very simple, and obviously Trevor knows how this goes, but the easiest thing to do is come sit down. We have a meeting. You're not charged for the meeting. We get paid based on implementation. If you decide to work with us, and we would go through all of those details and how that works. But it's an initial conversation, and really you'd be coming prepared with, okay, what's important to me? What's important to my family? Because we're gonna spend a lot of time analyzing and understanding your goals, what's important to you guys as an individual and as a family. And then we're gonna get a snapshot of your balance sheet, your financial situation. We want to know everything from what your home value is to your real estate rental properties to any other investments that you might have as previous employers or IRAs. We just want to understand all of it, how much cash you have in the bank, any debt that you have, life insurance, disability insurance, all of that we want to understand and know really well. And so come prepared with that. We'll go through and gather the information and then talk about where to go from there. And we can decide at that point whether we feel like it's a good fit to move forward. And then we would schedule another meeting and we'd put together a plan and make some recommendations. So the idea is to take it off your plate, make us do the work so that you guys don't have to, so you can go kick butt selling real estate. And so you're not worried about this. And that's, so it is very simple, but the easiest thing to do would be, let's plan a time to chat for 30 minutes and we can dive in, understand your goals and get a snapshot of where your finances are and go from there.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
I just
you're
think that's
fine.
an important question.
Oh, it's a great one. Thank you. It's important to us that we're connecting you with who you need, when you need it, at the right times. Meaning, a lot of my clients already have a CPA. When we talk with them, some don't, but we want to make sure they've got a good CPA that understands your world, understands how to make sure you're maximizing your opportunities on the tax front. Less of them have an estate planning attorney. That's not something people think about until much later in life, but it's important to be thinking about. And we want to be connecting, making those relationships, helping you connect. Obviously, realtors, mortgage officers, we've got great connections and we want to make sure we're making you, connecting you to the right people at the right times so that you have a plan in place, because there's going to be times when we're doing your wealth planning where we need an attorney. We need the CPA, and we're going to collaborate with those individuals to make sure that we're all thinking congruently in your plan so that nobody's making conflicting decisions on what we're trying to accomplish. So we kind of already talked about this, but that's what we came prepared to talk about, and then just wanted to open it up to any questions that you guys have. I mean, going deeper, it really becomes, it's a very intimate and specific to the individual kind of process. It's like I said, everybody is going to be a little bit different. And that's where we would sit down and have that conversation. If you feel like it's a helpful conversation to have for you and your family on an individual level, But yeah, I just want to open up to questions and see what's on your minds. Anything else I can answer for you? Any questions you have about us and our team and what's important to us? And then we would go from there. So. Any questions, guys?
I think one thing that I get questions on, and I'm gonna be, because nobody's being brave in the room apparently. But one of the questions that I get all the time is like, what does the process look like for, like, is it just a monthly draw? Is it quarterly? Do you do a chunks at the end of the year? Like, how do they save and prepare for this that makes it easy for them?
For saving?
Mhm.
Yeah, great question. So it's always best to automate what you're doing. In the real estate world, it's tough. Trevor shaking his head.
Yes, if you don't set it up monthly, it's not
You're
gonna
not gonna
happen.
do
right?
it,
Like
right?
with the amount of cash that flows in through our businesses and then back out. Yeah, I mean, it's an absurd amount of money every month that comes in and goes back out, and you panic, right? It's best to just set it and forget it, because Casey and I tried it for a few years where I was just sending money out of every check. And then you hit a month where it's like, ugh, I don't want to do that this month. And then next thing you know is it's 2, 3, 4 months later, Casey's calling me up like, hey, what's going on? Just set it and forget it. Promise, it's gonna, at least for me, that's the only way that money actually gets put into these things.
Yeah, it always works out better that way. You end up waking up years from now in a much better situation if you automate it than you would otherwise. But keeping in mind the fact that you are in the real estate world and your income is not the same every month. And so we always build in flexibility into the plan, because there has to be some flexibility, especially when some months you're going to be able to do more than others. So we want to automate as much as we can and then build flexibility in to make sure that we have the flexibility to dump more in on time when times are good. And we have the flexibility to cut back when times aren't so good. And so that's the way we build it. But that's the best way, is to automate as much as you can. You'll wake up in a much better situation in 20 years. That's your question.
Casey, maybe tell them about your app. Your guys' app has been like one of my favorite things since you've automated mine and Sadie's stuff, because I don't even realize that it's happening.
Yeah.
And then I log in and it's like, holy shit, like, dude, I'm rich as fuck. Except it's not really, but it's like,
On paper.
it blows my mind how fast that actually accumulates when you go all in, maybe talk about that for a
Yeah,
second, 'cause
absolutely.
That's been something
Yeah,
for me
so-
this summer especially, it's been.
You guys all have a website you could log into, and then an app, obviously, as Trevor's saying, that you can connect anything else to all your bank accounts, business accounts, credit cards. You could have all that properties listed there. So you can see a really good snapshot of your guys' net worth in real time. And you guys can go on and add payments. You guys can, there's that flexibility on these top buckets here. You guys have a lot of control over that inside the app itself. So it's a nice place to just see everything in one spot. As opposed to, you guys probably all have a couple different Excel sheets and then a bank account and a statement and this and that. And have it all in one spot.
Yeah, it's just convenient. Another something we can add to the big picture. So when we onboard our clients, we decide to work together and we onboard them, then we have a separate meeting with Nick. That's why I didn't answer the question, because then you have a separate meeting with him and to help you get set up online with, and so that you understand it, you know how to work it, and and you can get on and off it whenever you want. So it's nice to have. Any other questions?
I'm assuming you work with your people just on some minimums that you would suggest every month, and then they're gonna work with their CPA to do like an annual contribution that's maybe larger based on the year or whatever.
Yeah, so when it comes to the solo 401ks and the SEP IRAs, they usually do come, they're more of an end of year tax time decision because it's tax focused, right? So we usually pick a smaller number. So say, for example, you're in a SEP IRA, pick a smaller number we can do monthly. Because, and you guys, some years you have more deductions than others. Maybe you invested in more properties, and so you might have made $400,000, but you're only reporting 100 on your taxes. And in that case, you can only put 25,000 into your SEP IRA. So we don't want to accidentally over contribute to the SEP IRA, so it's more of a, we put in a base amount that we're positive we're not gonna go under. And then lump sum the rest in come end of year when we're making tax time decisions with our CPA. Yeah, good question.
Does everybody have a CPA that are having these kind of conversations with you? 'Cause if not, you need a new CPA. Really though, like I feel like this is part of the problem is we trust the same people over and over and they're not having the right conversations with us. And then all of a sudden we look up and we're like, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is I am gonna door knock until I'm 87. Right? And nobody wants to be in that situation, so plan in advance. So even you love it, and I know you
Sitting
don't
open
want
houses
to.
at 87 sounds horrible.
Right.
The cookies will get better.
60 to 57.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the cookies.
The cookies gotta get better after that.
What other questions do you guys have? This is one of the most asked, or I think in the back of your mind, you're thinking about it and you don't want to ask the questions because you don't want to look like you don't know what you're talking about. But the reality is the longer you don't ask the questions, the longer you put off planning for retirement and building your long-term wealth strategy. So there's no dumb, can we just agree? There's like no stupid questions.
Yeah, I mean. Don't be shy because there's nobody. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, but outside of, I mean, nobody knows the financial world. When we go to school, we don't talk about this stuff.
No.
Nobody has a clue. So if you have a question that, you know, like she said, you're worried about, honestly, it's probably half the people in the room. need to
Have
hear
it, just
as
aren't
well, have the same
asking.
question too.
How do you guys calculate how much someone needs to retire? Like when you say, oh, I wanna retire, and you're like, well, how do you go about helping me decide that number?
Yeah.
You like
As
fun
in-
things, so you're gonna need a lot more money than I will. I'm more of a simple man, yeah.
So is that, how much, are you asking, how do we decide together with you how much you'll need in retirement? Or how do we figure out how much you will have based on what you're currently doing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say it's more, how much do I need?
Yeah,
Like,
figuring out how much I
Like,
need.
what's that number? Because then it's gonna roll back to, well, you gotta start doing this. You gotta knock doors for the next 10 years to get there.
Yeah, so we just back into it with you. It depends on your goals and what you want to accomplish in your lifestyle. And so then we decide based on what your lifestyle is at. What are you going to want to live on in retirement? And we look at it in today's dollars. We account for it with our software, we account for inflation and taxes and everything else, but we just want to decide, okay, take home, what do I need? What's gonna be realistic in today's dollars for me to continue to live? And so we decide that with you. Most of the time, it's about 80% of what your pre-retirement income was, is what most people need. That's a cookie cutter answer. That's not the same for everybody, right? We have that conversation. But to give you an idea, you know, generally for a lot of people, it'll fall within that range of what they actually want. Because, you know, kids are out of the home. Proper, they don't have any debt on their home anymore. So there's just less expenses, so they don't need quite as much as they were doing while they were working.
Until they realize adult kids are more expensive,
Yeah.
right? And then they're like, I actually need 100.
And those are all,
Those are more expensive.
yep, and those are all factors we take into account. With some people, you know, in their situation, hey, I want to spend more on my adult children or grandkids. And so obviously you don't want to take a step back in income in that scenario. Or you think about healthcare costs, that's a variable. We're not sure exactly what your health is going to be like and how much that's going to cost you.
20%, 30%, sorry.
Yeah, so you typically 80% of what your pre-retirement income was. So a decrease of 20-ish typically, but it's not always that. I've got clients who have more income in retirement than they had before they retired as well. Any other questions? So Nick pulled this up. This is just a fun math question to help you realize, okay, what does saving monthly do? And what's the compounding effect of it? So it's showing if you start at age 25 and save $381 per month, you would have $1 million. So it's basically saying you save that. At age 65, there would be $1 million in the account. You would have put in 182,000. If you start at 35, you have to save 295,000 to have the same result of $1 million. 45, 460, 55, 693. So you look at your growth amount and how much you have versus how much you actually had to save over time. The compounding effect of starting as soon as you can is significant.
Evident.
Yeah. Yep. So just something fun to look at. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, yeah, right? Second best time is
Now.
now, so.
This is a great conversation too, like joking about adult kids, but really like the sooner you can get your kids into the mindset of saving and get them connected where they're doing something with their money versus just having a sit in a savings account, it's huge.
Right. Yeah. Really good. You wanna explain this?
So this is what we just call the glide path. Obviously, as Casey's saying, once you get older, you want to have that safe money. It becomes more relevant to you. So typically how you're invested early on is a lot more aggressive in the equities and then the light blues, bonds and fixed income. Typically, it's just going to scale down over time. We're going to help you with that, making sure that your portfolio is well constructed so that as you get older, as your risks become more relevant, we just scale back so you're not losing as much money. You're obviously going to gain less money in the market, but we want to ride well position. And this one is what we call the wall of worry. Basically, it's just showing every major event that's happened since, I think it's like the 70s. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, yeah, showing that the market goes up over time. Obviously, we have valleys and troughs, peaks and troughs, but, you know, I think right in here, we've got 9/11. We took a little bit of a dip right there, went back up, 2008.
2008, obviously, this is probably the one that all of you remember. And so, I mean, you just look at it, right? If we started investing in 1970, you see how the 2008 becomes irrelevant. You know, when we stretch it out over the long term, like, doesn't really matter, right? In the long run. In the short run, it can be painful, but in the long term, it becomes irrelevant when we plan correctly and we have a strategy behind what we're doing. Any other questions?
You have a time machine that we could go back to 25.
I would want like some ideas of this compounding interest, right? Wasn't it Einstein that the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest? Those that learn it, earn it, those that don't pay it.
Powerful. It really does make a difference. I mean, we saw the map on the previous page.
Yeah.
If you start at 25, you save half the amount, you know, way less money. So you're going 381 a month versus 820 a month, starting at 35. Save way less money and you have the same amount. I mean, it's extremely powerful what when your money compounds on itself over time.
That's a great visual for the kids, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
to show, you know, because you could talk to them about it, saying, hey, here's what I learned over life, but that's a great visual, I like that.
Absolutely.
Well, too often it sits in the savings account. Give us some ideas for that,
Oh, where to put it?
to
Yeah, yeah.
expand that.
Yeah. So we dive into the market and how do we invest? So where do you have the quilt on here?
Like, hold up.
So we want to make sure we have exposure when we invest in all 9 asset classes. So there's different asset classes. They've broken up between large cap US stocks, mid cap US stocks, small cap US stocks, international emerging markets, international developed markets, commodities, all of these different asset classes that we want to have some exposure in, because any one asset class performs differently from year to year. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. When we have a diversified portfolio, it brings in some level of predictability to the plan while still capturing the majority of the return. And so that's what we're doing with our clients is, you know, everybody gets excited and like, oh, I want to buy stocks. So they set up a Schwab account and start buying individual stocks for themselves. And then they find out a few years in that they start getting emotional with their money and pulling out when they shouldn't, putting in when they shouldn't. And the reality is when you're investing that way, you'll lose a lot more than when you win when you're investing on your own, because we're all emotional with our own money. So the market's down, we tend to make irrational decisions because that's ours. And our team, that's part of some of our greatest value. When the market's down, we get a lot of phone calls from clients and we get to talk. We have the privilege of talking them off a ledge and making sure they're making sound decisions based on their long-term goals, not based on the short-term markets. Because as we saw in that graph in 2008, if as long as we stay the course, we'll end up much better off than if we try and play the timing game with the markets. So this is just showing you the asset classes. So I just mentioned all of them from top to bottom. There's no pattern for any one, right? In 2009, international emerging was the top performing asset class. 2 years later, it's the worst performing asset class. And then it's the top again, and it's back down at the bottom. See, there's zero pattern, and that's why we want to make sure we're diversifying, because when one's not doing well, the other one is. And this diversified portfolio gives us a level of predictability on when we're talking about retirement. So we can say, over the long term, you're going to be where you need to be. Does that make sense? So that's how we help our clients invest. We don't, we're helping you invest in thousands of different companies and stocks together at the same time, so that we can have some diversification within your portfolio. Any other questions on that? You see real estate, right? That's your world, right? 2010, 2011, it's first. Does pretty well, come down here, it's last, then it's back first again. That's the first.
And then a few in between.
Pretty crazy. Any other questions on investing the money and or anything?
I think we're thinking about it. Don't think that like we're bored.
I think I was like,
No, that's-
Like, I'm gonna contact you guys,
Good.
process.
No, I've done a couple of these and it's always been that same thing, like, we don't know what to say right now.
yeah, I was like, that's why we wanted you to come in, just to have a familiar face. I was talking to Trevor, he and I were talking about this, and he's like, you gotta have my buddy come in and talk to him, because
Yeah, I mean, this stuff
It's
right here,
important.
right, like, I love not working and not having to know things if I don't need to. And this is one of those things that I could probably figure it out. But I don't want to, right, because my time is best spent doing what I am good at. True story, the year before I got hooked up with Casey, I lost $70,000 in 3 days, trying to day trade my own money. And I pretty much decided at that point that this is not something that I wanted to do. And it was like 6 months later, Casey and I got hooked up, and he's done it since. We kind of like, obviously, right, that's what I love about Casey is he's familiar with our world. He knows how real estate works more than any other financial advisor I've ever met. Casey understands our world. And he gets that we want to invest a lot of our money into real estate. You guys all know I'm super heavily invested in real estate. Casey knows that, he gets it. He built a plan to complement what I do in the real estate world, and it's working, so and Casey and I've known each other for years now, so he's been a very awesome add to what I've got going on financially.
Thank you.
I think one of the key things that Trevor said was, he lost $70,000 in 3 days day trading, trying to do it himself.
Yeah.
But like, I think that we oftentimes think like, oh, we can figure it out, or everyone always thinks they've got it, like, oh no, I know this one's gonna happen, right? And it's like, equate it a little bit to like a for sale by owner. Are you gonna do a better job listing a client's house than they are? Obviously, because that's what we do day in, day out. So leave it to the professionals, and honestly, go in for a consultation, and then don't try to, I think we complicate it way more in our heads than we really need to. Like, go in, have a good consultation, walk into the consultation prepared to be just like upfront and honest, like drop your ego at the door. Cause if you walk in there, like acting like you know everything, or that you've got it all figured out, it's gonna be a waste of your time. It's gonna be a waste of their time. Like, walk in, ready to just have like a real conversation about it, and then let them do what they do, which is be the expert, so you can do what you do, which is be a realtor that's really amazing and making money in diverse areas. And I think a lot of times we just make it harder than it is, when it's really just like, set an appointment, and in 30 minutes, you're gonna know whether what you're saying makes sense to me. Right? That's my opinion on it. I think a lot of people avoid it. And then all of a sudden we look up because we get busy, and you're like, oh, well, crap. I avoided that for 5 years, and really I just needed to go have a 30-minute conversation. That's my opinion.
Yeah, oh, thank you, that's perfect. And that's important to us too. One of the core values that we briefly went through is collaboration with us, and it's important that we have open and honest communication with our clients, and that we're sharing and so that we can help you and optimize the situation. But like she said, it's a waste of both of our time if we're not having open collaboration, we're communicating well, and it becomes a hindrance to what we're trying to accomplish, so.
And I think just like start small, even if you just start a little bit, start small, you can always build it, but if you don't ever start, it's like you saw that chart. I don't want to be trying to now save $675,000 to make $1 million, right? If you can start small, it's small and grow it.
Yep, every little bit counts, and so do what you can when you can, and that's what we're here to help you do.
Okay, any other questions for these guys?
Yeah.
We'll send out their contact information in our weekly recap email for sure. So that we know how to get a hold of these guys if we want to. And you've got Nick's info right there.
So Nick, we've got his info, we've got send out my info. It doesn't matter. Call either of us, we can schedule it, we'll schedule a time with you and come in and chat.
Yeah, and Lauren's got all their info as well, but yeah, we'll send that out in a weekly recap. Is there any of those slides that you want as a trigger to remember something? In a weekly
Greatly
recap?
appreciate some of the awesome.
Yeah, do you already have it? That's like,
I have, I'll just send it over to you.
Okay.
yeah, we'll send the info. Yeah, we'll blast it out there, buddy.
Thank you.
No problem.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Crystal
Appreciate it.
ball, she's today.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah, you want my political?
yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Never a bad time going back.
I won't say anything. Yeah, Trevor.
Okay, thanks, Casey. Nick, I appreciate
Like, remember that tree? Plant that tree.
that tree.
A long time ago.
How are you?
Good, come on in.
Oh, I have like a full page.
You've got a slide.
Oh, that is awesome. Okay, perfect. So first things first, I brought Chick-fil-A, and for those of you who have like dietary restrictions, stuff like that, I also brought Caesar salad. So you get to have your pick. I also brought some lemonade. So make sure like go get some lunch, stuff like that. But my name is Warren. I run McCarthy Media Co., a listing photography and videography service. And what's going on? And so I just want to like come in today and like I've been here one time before, but that was a little bit of background. I actually used to work in the operating room down at the University of Utah Main Hospital, and I was an anesthesia technician back then. So I was primed and ready for medical school. Was primed and ready for a full ride master's up at Huntsman Cancer Institute. But I was like, well, 10 years time, looking down the lines, hoping to have kids within that time frame. And I was like, at 32, 33, I will not have any time as a practicing anesthesiologist, running a lab, and doing a couple other anesthesia things. So I turned and pivoted. I actually started last year. May 15th, and I started McCarthy Media. And that was basically like a turning point from medicine into like diving into my passion for like photography, but specifically real estate photography. I love the people who are in it. I love working with like the homeowners, from the homeowner side to the agent side to like transactions in general. There was like the hallmark transaction that I was like, okay, this is the spot I really want to go into. There was property in Annabella, Utah, like way down south. And they're like, okay, so we have it all cash. We're going to roll equity into 2 or 3 other properties. And then the buyer they like came in, their family was like local. They had some family in St. George. It was like, this is like a huge win-win for like both parties of people. And they're like super stoked and excited about it. So I was like, okay, this is just kind of like the vibe I would love to get into. And then I just dove into all the like photography side of it, the videography side of it. And it's just been awesome since. And so, yeah, this is just kind of like, it was a passion project initially. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to take this and go full scale business. And so here we are today. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. That's just a little bit about me. So like medicine, doctor, and then photographer. So
I love that you followed your passion. That's awesome.
yeah, so it's been way fun. It's been way fun. But,
So Warren's done a couple of listings of mine and makes the house look way better in his picture.
Better than your iPhone? No way.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, we need to like brighten this space up and then the people go and they're like, it doesn't look anything like pictures. I'm like, well, duh.
Come see.
But I made you move. I got your ass in the door. Anyway, he does a great job.
See what it could
I
look
appreciate
like.
it. You're awesome.
So all listings, photography, and then I assume like you do like walkthrough videos, all that kind of stuff. too?
Yes, so everything from photos to like walkthrough videos, drone as well. Oh, another big thing, I'm licensed to fly Part 107, and I'm also insured. Because one of my friends in Seattle, he wasn't insured. He actually left, you know, like if you go on like a roof, but there's like the attic space and there's kind of like those doors that do that.
Yeah.
He left that open before like a major storm came through and it wrecked like $10,000 worth of like damage. And so I also have like insurance for like in the event that something happens like that, like up to like $1 million. So just making sure that's all covered. So you guys and your clients are also covered. So.
Nice.
Pricing, are you running any specials or do we go to your website for the price?
Yeah. So my
It's
website.
more for him.
Oh, yeah. So for pricing and everything, for the first time working together, I do $175 off. So basically, if you want like free photos, stuff like that, or want to like do a little bundle, it's $175 off of that total to work together for the first time. So I really want to like go out there and like meet you guys. Like for me, meeting up for the first time, testing the vibe, seeing like what wavelength we're on is like the most important. And I think it's just a great way to start doing business. And so I just want to make sure like I have something there for you guys. Chris.
So just 2 things that I want to point out. So I've used multiple photographers as well. The 2 things I appreciate the most about Warren. One, I've used a lot of photographers that come in and they're good photographers, but it's like crazy awkward when they're there with your client. But they're just sort of like, I'm taking my picture and I'm out of here, I'm done. Warren is great socializing with client. So like, by the time he leaves, the client's like, that was so fun, and it's like, I've never heard that before.
Oh, that, I haven't either. That's awesome.
So that's really good.
There's no-
And then the other one too is like, if you do like the full media package, it's nice that when he sends that over to you, like, there's no change in sizing, like the Instagram reel is already done, ready to go. I hate having to like piece stuff together on Instagram, but like, I'm ready to go. It's different down in space, MLS versus social media.
Ready to roll.
I know
I love
that.
I also want to give him a shout out because he's always messaging us on our KW Success Instagram page and just hyping us up on our content. So he's a nice man.
I appreciate it.
And Dalton just figured out he's under contract on something he took photos of, so.
Yes, it works.
That is awesome. That is such a quick world. I love that.
Does it look better in the photos?
Totally, obviously.
But like, if you guys have Instagram, stuff like that, that's my best point of contact, like online, or if you want to send like a text, like to my phone number, I want to make sure I get you guys the code for that 175 off. So just like message me and stuff like that. I'll make sure you guys get it for sure. Do you have any questions for me? Anything I can help answer and fuel your guys' business?
I just love the idea. If it doesn't work out, I guess I'll just be a doctor.
No.
I guess.
Doctor, right?
They're awake, not asleep.
No, right? Exactly, exactly.
And we'll send out your info in our weekly recap too, so you guys will have the info in the weekly recap, but I just went and followed you.
Oh, well. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
awesome. Hey, we'll go grab lunch.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
lunch.
so much.
Yeah, please grab lunch.
Are you gonna hang out for a minute?
Yeah,
If they have any
yeah.
other questions? Okay, cool. Do you have any other questions? Hang out, chat, and we'll connect. Hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah. I just made you before.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it now. You can do it. Yeah, I can continue. Agent, I'm working. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, yeah, I'm Dalton. Yeah, sure. Good meeting you. I appreciate you coming out. What's used to the photographer.
Oh, yeah.
But you're in the phone.
Yeah. I'm good luck with your buyers.
Yeah, it's only been a couple of days. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's
That's awesome. I'm
excited.
excited.
How long have you been?
It's been almost a year and a half now. Yeah. So right now, I still have probably like. Day before. Yeah.
3 days. Just give them 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, usually like 2 days, 3 days. Cause that's why it's like, I just, and I think like there's stuff that's not on. There's always like a message. My little, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give a lot of keep competition.
I know, right?
So just think, but at the same time. Yeah. When you have one, like, I think 3, right, because, yeah. Others.
Bagel showed up.
Yeah, that's.
I have county with it. Except for you. So
Oh, no, right, yeah.
Now we've got things too. Good.
So, fine, well,
Yeah, absolutely.
It dominated. It wouldn't be dominated. It's a good ball player. They still have one.
What?